publications, first of all, for inviting me to be here. Of all those qualified, I'm probably the least, according to many standards when it comes to journalism. And now that I've branded myself enough, I'll go ahead and take it. And by the way, we do have a hat for World Mag. I don't know who's going to fuss over this, but this is for World Mag. Thank you for having us. I want to just talk about a few things, but first I would like to acknowledge, above all, the strength that I have, I believe, comes from God alone. And I just want to acknowledge Him for giving me grace to do what I do. Second of all, I'd like to acknowledge my family. My wife is here. We celebrated 25 years. My youngest daughter is here, Bethany. She just turned 21. And we have 4 children, 18, 21, 23 this month.
Don't mess it up.
25. You're right. So, we just really thank God for family. And I think when it all goes down to it, much of what we do, whether it's in the field of journalism, is all for family. A lot of us who experience what we do in the world of writing or publishing, there's a certain passion that we carry into this thing. The distinguished guests that I'm able to share this table with, when you look at their bios, one way or another, it impacts our social community, and you can't get away from how that affects family. Also, for those who are in attendance, we want to give you all a gift. We recently launched the first and only Tea Party magazine that just came out. It's called Tea Party Review. And we're not giving copies away while we're here. People are purchasing them. But since you all are here, and you all are in the journalism world, you're going to get a copy. All we need is your card. If you don't have a card, just make one. Now I'd just like to transition and talk about journalism from a business perspective. I'm a publisher. That's what I do. And there are tons of writers. I started off within the publishing arena by writing myself. I've written 7 books within the Christian arena. From there, I segued into some political writing. When Obama ran for president, I noticed people running to the polls. You had black people running to the polls to make history. And you had white people running to the polls to prove they were not racist. So they kind of bumped each other and still remain confused. And now that they see the outcome of his ideology, many people have been second thoughts. So I wrote a book called Obama, Why Black Americans Should Have Doubts, and I think we have some copies over there that are for your taking. When I saw this transition take place, it was a phenomenal objective for me to figure out how to make it happen. And before I go any further, let me just say that we just so happen to have an editor of Tea Party Review here, Stephen Allen, back. He is a phenomenal editor. He's been in the political arena for quite some time. And if you're a writer, he's the person to talk to if you're interested in writing for Tea Party Review. We do come out every month, so we're always looking for great talent to write. So when I take a look at the arena of writers, and I take a look at what your objective is, I just want to stay in the vein that I know well, and that's publishing. I don't know it best, but I know it well. I think I know it from a perspective of the underdog. When I started writing my books, the only publisher I could find was a vanity publisher. They promise you the moon and they charge you to ride. There's no such thing as an advance. So I started at Kinko's. My wife would be glad to tell you the story, but Kinko's was $4 an hour. I would go in there and put my book in there and lay it out. My first book, I spiral bind it and went to a conference and sold it. That's how I started. And from there, technology caught up, or I caught up with technology. I'll say it caught up. Print on demand came out. And from there, people began to see what we were doing and began to ask if we could also do those things. And so that's how we got into the publishing arena. And so today we entertain quite a few individuals who are interested in writing, looking for a way to cut their teeth within the industry. And I think I want to segue off into something I think that's unusual that you don't see necessarily as blatant, if you would. It's not so obvious. And that part would be finding niches. You know, if you're a writer, to identify the niches, find a niche. I think it would be a wise thing for writers to perhaps take the time to study some business models for entrepreneurs. If you're competing for anything, it doesn't matter what it is. That means you have people who are also battling for those same opportunities. You have to be creative. And being creative doesn't mean to just be creative on paper in terms of your writing. That can be wonderful, but if no one is reading it, it's creative but no one knows it exists. So, and I think you also have to be at the right place sometimes at the right time. Developing those relationships. We are, as a publisher in today's economy and political arena, we're pushing the cars. There's a lot of established publishers and magazines that exist out there, but with each movement that you see take place, there is also new opportunity that never existed. And that's what we see happening right now within the political arena, within the conservative movement. There are tons of people looking for content. Of course, you have the internet, you have blogging, but I would say that a resurgence for print media is upon us because the median age for Tea Partiers is probably around 48 to 52. These individuals like to hold something. There's an emotional connection when you hold something in your hand. And so while a lot of people are crying that print is dead, I've never believed that idea because the internet cannot give you the emotional connection that print can. While you're holding something, you can go from page 2 to page 17 and back to page 2 and get a commercial in the middle. The internet is not going to give you that experience. And so there is a tremendous opportunity out there for print media. I would also say that if you have a passion about writing something, don't deviate from that passion. Don't write to make money. I've always believed that the books that I've written, at least, I didn't choose the book chose me. That's kind of how I like to think about it. And if you have that kind of outlook, you're going to write from a inner perspective, and editors, people will sense that. They will feel that. But if you're writing to quote unquote make a living, your writing is going to be dry. You can read that, you can see that. At least I can. There has to be a fire and a flame in what you do. And if the fire and flame is not there, wait for it to come. There's also a need to not over inundate yourself. I know a lot of writers read, and sometimes if we're reading too much, we're writing more of what we're reading than what's really inside our hearts. So I think it's very important for writers to take sabbaticals from reading. It's a difference in terms of writing and researching and backing up your writing with information. But if you're writing to regurgitate what you've read, those things are very apparent to editors, very apparent to publishers. People are very savvy today. I think people are very savvy today. And just like you're reading, they're reading. So if they're rereading what you read, you're going to lose them. And you won't get the attention of a publisher or a website that could perhaps make your information known to its readership. We launched this past Tuesday, just to give you an idea of how hungry people are with relevant information. We launched Tuesday with a national press release about Tea Party Review magazine coming out at CPAC. While we were launching that press release on Tuesday, the magazines were being shipped to arrive here on Thursday. By the time we checked our numbers and our stats, we already have 1,200 subscribers in just 2.5 days. Okay. So that's giving you an idea. And Fox News, I think Steve's going to be interviewed today on Fox News, as well as Sunday, Fox and Friends. So there's a niche out there, and there's a demand. There's a demand, and I think if you're able to identify those niches, but keep with your passion. Don't put the profit before the purpose. Keep the purpose there. And if you have to wait, work part-time or whatever, do it. Because if you get identified and you can develop in your craft from a passion perspective, when people find you, they will not let you go. And stay true to your vision, and you'll be the blessed for it. So thanks again for having me, and I look forward to hearing from the rest of my